In the latest version of Boris Continuum Complete comes the ability to integrate mocha tracking data into many effects and even access mocha directly from the effect. In this movie, we're going to explore the remove effect and how we can work with mocha directly inside the effect controls to perform some planar-based mocha tracking that we can instantly apply to the effect.
So as you explore the BCC 10 library, you're going to see hundreds and hundreds of parameters to choose from on these given effects. And while it's fun to experiment and discover some of these parameters, other times it's just better to be told where something is. So in this movie, we're going to cover over one of those features which I think is overlooked in some of the BCC 10 plugins, and that is Pixel Chooser. As of BCC 10, we can use it to perform planar-based tracking by sending this clip into Mocha, performing a track by selecting a plane, and then with that tracked area, perform a variety of utility-based or even motion graphic-based tasks. So we're going to access Pixel Chooser in this next effect that is new to BCC 10 called BCC Remover. So this clip in front of us actually comes from a film called My Father and the Man in Black, and the director at the time actually requested that I remove this portion of the shot so that we could focus on the letter on the podium a bit better, and also add a vignette to the shot. So if I had at the time, I would have gone to my effects and presets and done a search for BCC Remove, as you can see here, to isolate all of the other effects, and then apply that effect to the clip. Now, just to get familiar with some of the basics of the effects, we've got, first of all, the destination, and that's the destination that we essentially want to clone to. And then we've got the source, and the source is where we're cloning from. So the real power of this effect, instead of using the clone tool, is to have the access to the Mocha-based planar tracking that's included through Pixel Chooser. But we can also see here a couple other parameters like the radius for me to increase the radius there on the destination. I could also feather that out a little bit. And I can also scale up the area which I'm cloning from in those situations where I might not have enough pixels to actually perform the clone. So there are some effects in here that can really help us with our cloning workflow. So this clone is looking all fine and dandy until I move my current time indicator and realize that the clone is not moving with the footage. And that is because I have to track it. How I'm going to track it right inside this effect is to use that Mocha-based planar tracking that we've been talking about. So the first thing I need to do is change these options here to a clone shape. And once I do, I get a warning up here to say, please use Pixel Chooser in order to decide what your clone shape is. So let's head down to that area where Pixel Chooser exists. So under Pixel Chooser, let me change this from off to on. And underneath method, let's use Mocha to clone out this shape. So Mocha has now launched. Let me just give a click to this button to make this window full frame so we can see the interface a little bit better. And what I want to do is use one of the tools up here to draw a shape around the area that I want to clone. So I want to select the X-spline tool because the X-spline tool can be extremely handy when it comes to planar-based tracking. So I'm going to select that shape. I'm going to now click and make points around that area that I want to clone. And I'm just now going to double click the first point to close that out. So I'm now going to select any one of these points and just hit Command A to have them all selected. And if I drag inward, that's going to smooth out the shape. If I dragged outward, it would do the exact opposite. I'd have nice little rigid shapes or pointy shapes that I could use. So once that's set up, just notice that I did this on the first frame of the actual clip. I want to scrub forward just to see how this object is moving throughout the scene. And really all I can see is that there is some position changes taking place. So I'm going to head over to this section, actually give a click here on the X so that all we're going to track in this scene is translation. So let's make sure large motion is selected. And we're also going to choose the default settings for pre-processing here. The number that you see here is actually like a quality dial. So the lower the number, the faster the track, the higher the number, the more accurate the track. But usually this pre-processing number is fairly accurate. So let's go up here and press the track forward button. And you can see that it's holding up fairly well, the track. Great. I'll just move my current time indicator to give this a double check. There are also things up here that we can do to just double check the track, as in just seeing the actual X-spline shape is not the most accurate to determine if your track is good or not. I suggest turning on your planar surface, which I've just done right here. We're able to check that and move through our clip to make sure that the track does indeed hold up. Now that everything is looking pretty good, let's just go up here and give Mocha a close. We're going to just press save and head back over to After Effects. We can see that our shape has been offset just a little bit, but let's get in and just sort of see what's happened. So I'm going to click on this View Mask Matte button and just take my current time indicator to move throughout the project to see that the area that I've identified definitely holds up with the track. That is great. And let's head down to the Pixel Chooser section. We have some controls here where we can actually feather and soften the edge of that mask selection that we made, and I'm going to just actually increase the feather. Let me turn this View Matte Mask off. Now, to get this into its appropriate place, we've got to make a couple changes just to our scale and the offset position. So through a little bit of experimentation, let's just make that scale a 110 value. So I'm going to plug in the values of 773 and 585 here. So I'm going to move my current time indicator to drag this through the projects. If I need to make any changes, I could experiment a little bit there with the scale and the offset to make this just right. But it looks like we were able to use Mocha as a way to identify that cloned area and clone this out with the remove tool fairly efficiently. So there are various effects in the BCC 10 library that have Pixel Chooser, and that means you have access to Mocha. And as you may have noted, this is quite a powerful feature.